It's wild to think another year is gone. We're into 2026. We said goodbye to 2025. But one thing that will continue on in the new year is great conversations with great guests. And I think we're in for a fun chat as we kick off the new year. He's part of the bluegrass folk band Damn Tall Buildings. Their latest album, The Universe is Hungry, is out now. Let's welcome in Avery Ballotta.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
I appreciate that. And I guess, can I also call you Montana? I hear that that's a
You
nickname you
can.
go by a little bit.
That's right. Yeah, that's the one that was dawned upon me on the East Coast after moving out there, and and it's stuck.
Well, I appreciate you being here to kick us off. And, this is Bar Conversations. I know we're talking kind of during the holiday break time for a lot of people, and we've got other things going on midday. So I think we might be behaving ourselves a little bit. But I know you guys are based in New York now, so I had to at least find something from New York, and that's a little Mackenzie
Very
bourbon out of the Finger
nice.
Lakes region there. So,
Love it.
you know, what are you drinking today? What's your normal go to drink if you're not midday conversation?
Sure. Yeah, my personal uh, go-to is definitely beer. I like a good beer, uh, and definitely more on the like hoppier. Uh, I like a good lager too and things like that, but the sweeter stuff is tough for me. But and then as a band, we all drink gin. Uh, we used to be more in the like Evan Williams camp, and then as time has uh, provided us wisdom, we have shifted into the gin category. So we're funny because we like gin on ice. We're just a big straight gin kind of like all three of us love it. And then like a really nice gin martini is definitely like the perfect after show release. So
I
yeah,
like it. I like.
yeah,
Now, do you guys have that like as a rider? Because I mean, gin. A lot of places nowadays make a gin and a vodka, to kind of at least
totally.
keep the lights on. And plus, there's like you said, there's a lot of people that enjoy those. So is that something you get to try everywhere you go?
Oftentimes, yeah, it's really nice, and yeah, it's fun to be able to kind of like put those on the rider, and we always specify like uh, local if possible, because we'd love to sample what's going around. And there's a lot of great stuff, like really in the last 5 years even that have come out in the distillery world that's been really really cool
Well,
and
next
delicious.
time you're through Kentucky, there's one that they do a gin and they barrel age it in used bourbon barrels. So if you're ever
Cool.
looking, it's Log Still's the company. I forget. I don't know if it's. I think it's their Monk's Road gin.
Okay.
But if you look it up, they're kind of out in the country. So, but if you're ever coming through, that could be a fun one to give a
Yeah,
try.
I'll definitely keep an eye out.
Now, as I mentioned, your nickname is Montana,
Mm.
and there's a good reason for that because you're originally from Montana. They
Yes,
got
sir.
real creative with that nickname too,
That
by the
sure
way.
did, yeah. Just feels good to say, I
That's
think.
true. That's true. Now, what impact did growing up out there have on you personally, musically? There's a lot of land out there, a little bit of chilly weather. So, what all impact did that have on you?
Oh, great. Yeah, definitely true to the lot of land, big open spaces. And then I was born and raised in Bozeman, so we're right in the valley. And that, being surrounded by mountains definitely like really has impacted my love for nature for sure, and like love for being outside, which we all in the band definitely all share in that. Even being from different places. Max is from New Hampshire and Sasha's from Philadelphia, and but we all when we're on the road, like our go-to is to get outside and like walk the rivers. Anytime there's anywhere to go walk, we'll walk it. So that definitely comes from me personally. Definitely growing up in Montana and being like really at home outside. And then, yeah, the cold definitely set me up for success to be able to handle a lot of discomfort. and,
Because there's
and
none of that in the music business, right?
right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a perfect correlation, actually. I think I'm better in the business because of Montana. And then musically, it was a really great, strong scene, still now, but especially in the jazz world, there was a lot of really great, like legendary jazz players that had moved there that were just putting on these like world class performances for the town, and like it would be monthly or weekly, even, depending. And then I grew up playing in orchestras and quartets and things like that. So that was there's really great music education a focus in that whole community that I definitely know fostered my ability to believe in it as a possibility for myself. So yeah, I'm really grateful for my upbringing out there. It's really great.
Well, and I saw too. You talk about you guys get to travel, get to do the hiking. I know that's something that you guys have been able to do. I also enjoyed the video of your look back to 2025, where you guys were going on the mountain pass from Bozeman to
Right.
Billings,
Yeah.
and Mother Nature said, "Ha ha, we're going to make this fun for you."
Absolutely.
Was that just another day for you? What was going through Max and Sasha's mind on that
Oh, that's so
road?
funny. Yeah, no, I mean, in a way, yes, it was definitely another day from like I've definitely driven that pass growing up. Like that's the Bozeman Pass going from Bozeman to Livingston and then on to Billings. And like uh honest, I have to give Max a huge shout out because he's driving all the time, and uh, like Montana snow is different than New Hampshire snow, and like that last year when we were driving in it was really that's Max earned his Montana stripes with that trip, dude. He could like. Yeah, he got one of those notches. And so we were all very proud and we took it slow. That gig is really funny too because that footage is from when we were getting out to Billings for that show right after we played Live from the Divide in Bozeman. And we got out there for like a noon uh, call because we were doing like a wonderful performance for like school kids and stuff. So an early private show at the theater. And thank God because we got to Billings and then 20 minutes after that, the entire highway that we were on shut down. So we were like, amazing. So yeah, so even more kudos to Max for really getting that going, and it's been good. So we're doing that same drive to Billings this February as well, and hopefully there'll be just slightly less, just more visibility. We'll take just a little bit more visibility.
Yeah, I was gonna say it didn't look like you could see very far, which I've been
Not
on
at
some of those
all.
roads coming through mountains, and growing up in West Virginia and the
Hmm.
Appalachian Mountains. But that's a whole, like you said, even New Hampshire for Max. There's a lot of snow up there, but
Yep,
it's a whole different ballgame when you get in the Rockies and the wind
for
and you can't see.
sure. The wind, dude. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh man, and you know, for you, you talked about being around a lot of different stuff in Montana, which folks might not expect. But there's several colleges there. A lot, like you said,
Hmm.
there is a music scene there.
Hmm.
What music though did you grow up on? What artists kind of shaped who you grew into be? Because you're in this bluegrass folk band, but I heard a lot of other things too.
Thanks. Yeah, I definitely. Um, I grew up like my mom is a music lover and musician herself, and she, had the records stocked in the house. So like I grew up listening to, like Jethro Tull and Uriah Heep and Led Zeppelin and uh, Loggins and Messina and like uh, Leo Kottke and then like Vassar Clements on various records and stuff. That was definitely one of my early influences and still is for fiddle. Um, and just a lot of that kind of stuff. Very eclectic, but a lot of rock and roll and then jazz, like I was saying before, like just live as well as like I really got into jazz as a kid. And then playing classical and stuff, I also got pretty nerdy about that. And that inspired me to start writing music, which is what brought me out to Boston in the first place. So, yeah, so I'd say that those influences are huge for me. A lot of classic rock and roll and like really cool progressive stuff, mixed with a lot of like folk and old time and classical and jazz. So.
Well, and you mentioned your mom being someone that loved music. Did you just grow up with a love of music at a young age and kind of wanting to play it and do stuff then?
Definitely, yeah. It was one of those like we had a piano in my house, and like I was like 3 or 4 when I first started touching it. And that was definitely, I think, an indication to my mom and my parents to like really that I was like I had an inkling for it, and then uh, yeah, I always wanted to write music. I always had this thing of like kind of like I hear things, how do I put it down? And I've kind of
Hmm.
always been on that journey of figuring out how to put it down and to varying successes yeah. And then when I picked up the fiddle, I was 9 when I did that, and that was really what kind of set me on that journey towards a life of music. and my younger sibling Gabe also picked up the fiddle at the time, so we were both learning at the same time, which is, uh, of course, there's the occasional sibling bickering, but we
No.
also have that beautiful sibling harmony that just like is amazing, and like the psychic link is immediate, if not just a little bit ahead, and so that was cool. I definitely like learned a lot about playing with others through playing with my sibling Gabe, and then a bunch of my friends and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely always been loving the music.
Well, and you talk about picking up the fiddle, at that age, like 9, 10. Like, what made you want to go that route? Also, how different for those that don't understand, fiddle, violin, they might be confused and so forth. So, like, explain, a 9-year-old picking up the fiddle.
Totally. We as a family, we went to this like used instrument swap that they were putting on in the cafeteria in the high school, and we were going out there, and it was about the time where like I had expressed some interest in like learning something, and then I had heard that my mom played violin in like elementary school, and just hearing even just her memories of playing in an orchestra, I was like, I think I want to play in an orchestra. And then so we went to the instrument swap and ended up just finding this little half-size fiddle. Uh, and it spoke to me, and I just put my hand on it. I was like, all right, this one is mine. This one is coming home. And it ended up being great because we met our very first ever teacher there as well. Teresa was selling the instruments, and it was also like, I teach, and it was perfect because then it went great. And then I remember very vividly having the first lesson. It was great, and then coming back for the second lesson, and being like, all right, cool, just like learn these notes or learn like how to do these, just barely getting it. And I was like, great, like when can we start writing? And she was like, soon, like, so that definitely it was a huge, I feel grateful to be fostered in that like loving way. She didn't like be like, you're not ready. She was just like, you'll be ready soon. Like, so that's really nice. And then yeah, as far as like, I call it a fiddle, obviously, for because I play it in that style. And then also one of my favorite definitions between a fiddle and a violin is that you can spill beer on a fiddle, or or whiskey, whatever you're drinking, and my fiddle is certainly a fiddle in that clarification. And yeah, and it's been great to let it kind of be both depending on where I'm playing. So
See, it's multi-purpose, multi-functioning. You can do anything with it, and
yeah.
because of that, do you play other instruments? Did you go down that rabbit hole? Because I'm guessing, just knowing someone that loves music like you did and want to write and things like that, you might have ventured out once or twice.
Certainly, yeah. I remember being given my first acoustic guitar by my cousin. I was maybe 15, and then like shortly after that, I was gifted like a just a traditional PV rock and roll, just electric, and it was so cool, like Fender style PV, and it was so nice. And so like those two things. Uh, Kind of got into I've always noodled in the guitar world, and so that ended up transitioning nicely as I gained more understanding and awareness in the music. I was able to start bringing things that I was learning on the fiddle to the guitar, and then as I've gone over the years, I play a lot of guitar, I play a lot of bass, and write a lot of songs and of all types, and love to do that. And I studied music technology at MSU before going out to Boston, and so I got really deep into the studio world and production side of things, and I definitely love that too. So like that's another, I would say that that's kind of like an instrument for me, is like just the studio itself. I feel very at home, and um, I love to kind of see what we can capture, So it's been really fun. It's been really fun to bring that into DTB too, and like produce our own records. And this last record, I think, is probably the strongest like collective production that we've ever done. So really proud of it.
I was going to say, we'll get to that independent mindset that you all have.
Hmm.
But you mentioned you going to Boston, Berklee College of Music over there. Is it true that you met Max, who's one of the other folks in the band, in cafeteria while studying there?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it was like maybe my second or third week, and I was going over to eat with my buddy Paul, who's a great guitarist, Paul Scroy. He's down in Nashville and nowadays, but we were all there, and he and I became good buddies, and him and Max had just become friends because they both are like killer blues players, and yeah, so I sat down at that table, and that's when I met Max. It was like it was honestly a very fast friendship, and we started like hanging out probably the next week at his apartment, like just down the road. And it was him and our other buddy Dylan McCarthy, who's a great mandolin player down in Colorado. And so we were just like hanging out a bunch, uh, and then got to the point where like we started like picking tunes together and like going out and busking and stuff. So yeah, so getting to meet Max there, and then I met Sasha through Max. So that was a great thing. And they met in ear training class, where I love to tell the story where they both got wrongly accused of cheating because they both put the exact wrong answers on their and neither one of them were cheating, thankfully, but it was hilarious because that was what like made them meet. That was what brought them together, which I think is so serendipitous because now they're married, which is hilarious. So it's like you never know what's gonna happen. Like put down whatever answer you think is right and you see.
Well, and I love that too because they're musicians and they were
Right,
hearing the wrong, maybe the wrong tones and things like that. So.
dude, exactly, yeah.
Oh man, well, because I was gonna ask, obviously, like you said, Max and Sasha had met. They're now together. When did the three of you though become together and form what became Damn Tall Buildings?
Totally. That was in we had been playing together for a lot of 2012. So we all met in the beginning of 12, and then we're kind of picking together a bunch and then playing on the street a little bit, and then 2013 is really when we were like, oh, this is a band. And that was we formed it with um, kind of the busking crews started with Max and Dylan, and then our buddy Jordan Alleman, who was our banjo player for many many years, and and then me, and then Sasha joined with the bass. Sasha picked up the upright bass for the band, which is like that's another amazing thing. She's a ripper and a great singer, and to be able to put those two together, I admire her deeply for all of that. Um, so that was cool. And then Dylan ended up having to move back to Colorado, and so it was just the four of us that formed uh, what had then become Damn Tall Buildings. And then we, pretty shortly after that, I think uh, maybe the end of that year or the early next year, we went up to New Hampshire and recorded our first album. Uh, and that was great in this studio that's no longer there anymore, but it was really beautiful, like in the middle of nowhere. And it was an awesome time. Definitely our first like dive into really recording something, and that definitely solidified the band. And then we started playing weekly every Thursday night at this village tavern in Salem, Massachusetts. So we take the commuter rail up there every Thursday, play for 3 hours. They would pay us pretty well, and then as much as we would want to. We were young too, so we were like, yeah, sure, a pickleback sounds great. Like
Living
that's
that high life.
that'll do it. Yeah. So and then yeah, so we really cut our teeth performance wise at that place. So um, yeah, and then it's just kind of been off to the races ever since.
Now the name Damn Tall Buildings. I understand the word damn was added kind of as a defiant response to a John Hartford song. Is that correct? How did the name
That
come
is
to be?
correct. That's right. Yeah, we we kind of had to pull that out of a hat. Oh, not out of a hat, but definitely out of the thin air. That was like basically somebody came in and saw us on the street and was like, I want to do a video of you. And like, we're like, great. And then they're like, we just need to know what you're called. And we're
You're
like, we
like,
don't
not
know.
great.
So, yeah, so I remember sitting in Max's apartment and kind of all spitballing and going around. And we had like a list of a bunch of them, and tall buildings was one of them. And then, dam just came in. Jordan, I think, was like, why don't we do a dam tall buildings? Because then it really brought it all together as like we have understood even more uh, how correct that was for our vibe and everything. Because it's like not just busking, but um, just in kind of how we were approaching like the industry, the performance, and all of that. Like very much kind of like a let's do it our way and see if we can make it work. And like commit to the love of it more than the like striving for just success or whatever we define success to be. It's been a very natural progression of like real just like like right love right in it, you know, really just like sitting into the like why we love to do it. And yeah, so that's, I think, definitely it is a defiance to the idea of John Hartford's In Tall Buildings, because like the two verses of like going to work and then being done with work, you know, like retiring at the end, and being like, all right, well, like we can definitely infuse our life with a richness that is um, not so lamentable, you know. So
Well, and like you mentioned, you guys kind of started busking on the streets there in Boston. And for those that don't know what that means, basically you guys were doing street performance, kind of setting up, just jamming somewhere, hoping to get maybe some tips and play. And well, how did those early days really kind of influence y'all? Because that is not easy to do. I mean, it's one thing, everyone talks about, I went down to Nashville and I did something. Well, that's a whole different ball game. That's,
yeah.
you went into a bar and played for a little while. You guys were doing it on the streets and kind of cutting your teeth that way.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. We set up our main corner was on Newberry Street and Dartmouth, I think. But yeah, right in the Back Bay in Boston. And Newberry Street's kind of a big shopping street. So we were trying to like always capitalize on foot traffic just to be because people were walking around. And then you say capitalize on it. That's easier said than done because it's, you know, like it's very easy to just walk by if you don't want to engage. And so we learned a lot about um, like being connective, I think, with each other and also with the audience. Like it was always when you're 3 feet away from somebody who decided to stop, there is that kind of moment of like, oh, like you want to be here. That's cool. Like that makes me want to play better for you. So it's like that definitely is a good example of us like cutting our teeth, not only in the music, but also performance wise. It definitely taught us how to connect with the audience. And I definitely am so happy to see that continue into our like stage shows and stuff. It feels very much like we're able to connect with the audience, even if we can't see them out there. We definitely like feel them and they respond to us. You know, it's really nice. So yeah, definitely that busking spirit is still around.
Well, like you said, I mean, when you're performing, especially when you're starting out, you might not have a ton of people coming there to see you. You might have a few, you might not. You just never
Yep.
know in the place, and being able to have those interactions and build that comfortability for everyone is pretty important. And I mentioned you guys met in Boston. You did a lot of stuff up there, but now you guys are in New York and
Mhm.
Brooklyn. How has that transition over this past decade from Boston to Brooklyn and life gone for y'all?
Really well. You know, before we moved to New York, we used the touring that we were doing the year before that to really kind of uh, look around. We had an idea that we were kind of like ready to move on from the Boston area, but we didn't know where yet. So we checked out everywhere, you know, like that we might want to go, and we just kept coming back to New York as this kind of like, you know, initially when you go there, it's for everybody, it's a little overwhelming, but then there's something about it that kept bringing us back. And then the more and more we kept going back, the more we were like, oh, I think we feel at home here. Like this is really cool. And then that baseline, um, just we all agreed to go out and live there, and then have built are a really beautiful life there, and there's a lot of great players and a lot of great musicians in general. Like the bluegrass scene is very strong, which is awesome, as is the old time and Irish scene too. Like they're both really, all three are really strong. And then of course there's a ton of great like other music, and we're all huge fans of hip hop too. So it's like there's a lot of great like incredible hip hop being made. Uh, and like all sorts of stuff and great rock. Yeah, just really good music out there. And we're big fans of food too, you know, so we love to eat all sorts of stuff and get to hang out. And yeah, it's been really really great to integrate into New York, and really it feels very much like our home base, which is great. It's fun to
Well,
take it around the country too.
and like you said, you guys get to explore. You get to do so much. You know, I know Max and Sasha. You guys run a music school there in Brooklyn. You've worked as a producer on not only the damn tall buildings projects, but others. What's it like to have those creative outlets too? That you guys get to do other things still in the music world. Maybe not always though.
Yeah.
The groups of work.
Totally. Yeah. No, it's imperative, I think. I think it might be even a secret to be shouted out to other independent musicians or other artists of any kind. Like, it's good to diversify. Like, it's really important and for me, obviously, like, I'm mostly obsessed with music. So I tend to love to do music when I'm not doing music. But, like, sometimes you got to do other things. So, Max and Sasha's music school, Crown Heights Music School, is absolutely rocking these days. They built it out of their apartment for the first few years, and then were able to move into this beautiful commercial space like a block away from where they live. And it's that was so great to be able to be witness to that, and they really put a lot of love and blood, sweat, and tears into that. And now it's rocking. They got, I want to say, 4 or 5 other teachers now, like all working really great. And I think they've hit over 200 students now as well, which
That's
is
awesome.
very impressive, and mostly from the area too. Like a lot of Brooklyn borough folks, which is cool. And yeah, Sasha runs a community choir, and they have been performing out, and they just did their first indoor performance in Brooklyn, and that was really cool. And yeah, and then producing wise, I love to get into the studio wherever, and I have like a working home studio in my apartment. Where me and my roommates make a lot of stuff together. We're kind of it's a big old production house. But and then yeah, just getting around and getting to explore the things that, like, when you're playing shows and you're so focused on a band, right? Your one project is like everything to you. It really is the whole eggs basket thing. Like, you kind of gotta make sure that you're not spread so thin in one thing that you're able to keep showing up for it. So I would say that all of these things that we have outside of this project are really helpful to us to be able to come back to it and just rest in it. Like, all of the work that we put into it definitely shows up for us as well, where we're able to come back together, and then, after one rehearsal we're ready to play a show again. Like, that's a really nice feeling. So yeah, it's definitely, it's an honor to do it, and like have the diversification still be musical as well.
Well, and you talk about it too. You guys are fully independent,
Mhm.
truly independent band. I mean, from self producing, some self management, other different things that you're doing at different times. I mean, what's that been like? Because, people might say, oh, I see you doing so well, but like, there's a lot of work that goes into being able to do all that and tour and put out records and so forth.
Absolutely. It has been an incredible journey figuring it out together. And I would say that, like, baseline wise, having open communication and like love for each other is like the only way it's worked. Because, like, you can work with your friends, you can work with your family, and there's always a point where it like is like, okay, I know you from this context, and now it's feeling weird because of, whatever it is. So being able to work through that kind of stuff and finding ways to really like be able to express honestly before it's an issue, or like if it's a triggered kind of thing, it's like, all right, cool, like let's figure out how this works. So within that as we've built the business side of the band, it's definitely been because we have to be our own team, you know, because it takes a team to bring this stuff through, and then we just take these roles. So like Max is an incredible manager, and he's able to like make sure that we're all privy to what's up all the time, and like he's the liaison for our agent, and like all of these things, and like he's always the day of show contact, stuff like that. I run a lot of the like, you know, press outreach and like emails and all that stuff, and like connection points and all of this, and Sash rocks all the socials, and then like we're all writing a lot together, which is a little bit less businessy, but that's still relevant to the collaboration that like makes it so that we can all work together. You know, it's not just like all weight is on one person. Like we all have a lot of shared weight, which is really nice. And if anything gets too heavy, we balance it out. So that's been really great. And yeah, it is hard work, but it's worth doing. And I think patience is good, and also trusting your gut is really good. A lot of times doubt can be the biggest killer of like progress. And I think that it's really nice that we all three trust each other to be able to determine what our decision should be, and that has proven to be very beneficial.
Well, then you guys are still rocking and rolling. To this day, you put out a new record in October. The Universe is Hungry. What was it like putting that project together? Because I know that was one that took a little while. You guys put, was several years in the making between just trips, and a lot of just stuff of life kind of went into that one.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. I would say that like the production of it was really fun. I think it was one of the first times in our recording career that we have like really we built a lot of those songs in the studio, um, instead of on stage. So oftentimes we would have like brought in the entire record into the set, played those songs, got it down, and then recorded. We did that with about half of them on this record, where we were playing it the year before, which was great. It was good. It's always good to practice. But it was also really nice to be able to go in and like let the production space be where we were creating the sound of the song. Um, and that I think has really been fun, because then like the correlation to the live show I feel like has informed uh, a very kind of seamless transition into that, which I think is kind of unique to this particular record, of ours at least. And that's yeah, it was really fun to do it. We were able to record in the school in at Crown Heights Music School, and that was special too, because it's like the for Sleeping Dogs, the record before, we recorded more in that independent kind of bedroom house vibe. And this one felt more like a studio. So we had separation between the control room and the recording room. And like that, I think added a lot to our like um, flow, which was really cool. And yeah, really, I mean, I love the modern technology of being able to like uh, bring in other folks. Like that was definitely one of my favorite things. Uh, we had two great bluegrass dudes from Brooklyn on one of our tracks at the end there, and then another uh, feature we always love to bring in is our buddy Lars Thorson out of Nashville, and he put down some pedal steel on some stuff that was really nice. And then Sasha's dad was able to put accordion on our cover of Blue Bayou, which is great. And then the one that blew my mind the most was we have this Ethiopian song on there, and Lagase Abdi, and that was written by this guy Hadis. He goes by Hadinko because he plays the masinko, which is like a single string traditional instrument, which is super sweet. And he and his band wrote this song, and we fell in love with it, and like we were able to collaborate in 2023. And then we were like, man, we really want to put this record on, or this song on the record. And he gave us his blessing, and he sent us Masinko tracks from wherever he was. Like I can't remember if he was in Ethiopia proper, but he was out there, and he was it's just amazing to me that you can get like high quality recordings and do high quality recordings and then put them together and like it's amazing. Yeah, I just really, that one is maybe my favorite like production track on the whole thing. I just love that whole, the way that that came together and the way it sounds really clicks with me. So yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, that track in particular, you guys, I believe, were touring with the U.S. State Department, and that's kind of how
Hmm.
you ended up crossing paths with him. So, I mean, what's it like to, like I said, you guys were doing a lot of traveling with this one, and just the world around you is what kind of the
Definitely.
universe, so to speak, is hungry.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. That trip, we were able to go out with the State Department and this other organization called American Voices. Put together this like cultural diplomacy tour for us, um, and those like envoy stuff. Like you got to audition. We auditioned many times, and then finally got it. And yeah, and then it's one of those things where like basically they send out a list to all the embassies and consulates and stuff, um, to see if they want to program anything. And it was just it was so cool that our first one was in Ethiopia, and so we like, they want us there. That's so cool. So that was really special to be able to go out there. And we did a lot. Basically, for that one, we played mostly with Hottest the whole time. So he was like our buddy, our fourth member, and that was really great. Especially really cool because like that collaboration and how easy that became and how fun it was is definitely what breaks down the barrier at all for any sort of like cultural differences in terms of like, especially in Ethiopia, they're very understandably being like, who are these white kids up here like playing this, like why should we care kind of a thing. And like nothing necessarily overtly judgmental, but definitely like obviously it's like not customary. So it was really nice to be able to have that immediate kind of like the music does it immediately, and then once we brought Haddis up there, it's like that familiarity of the traditional instrument and traditional music in general. I think is really powerful for that because it really transcends a lot of the things that like society may ascribe to music or what you might like. So that's been very cool. And yeah, and again to have go from that like 10 days whirlwind of working with this dude and falling in love with this tune to then be able to put it on the record, that was just a super super wonderful full circle. And yeah, it's cool. We love doing those kind of trips. It's been very impactful for our lives.
Well, and you talked about Blue Bayou, being able to do that cover, the Roy Orbison cover. What drew you to that and made you want to kind of reimagine it and kind of put your guys' twist on it?
Totally. Um, I will say that Linda Ronstadt is definitely one of Sasha's like heroes, vocal heroes, and that performance, her performance of Blue Bayou, is definitely what got stuck in Sasha's head, and then she kind of brought it in as this like, we should do this one, and then as we were uh, performing it a lot more, we were really like, oh man, this is so fun to play. We're really getting it. And like Sasha's version of it has just like a really specific kind of flavor that she's able to bring with phrasing, with just her melody choices and stuff like that. It was kind of like, it's definitely striking all of us as like, oh, this is like kind of a unique version of it. It's very similar in vibe to the Linda Ronstadt one, but it's just there's something a little bit different. So that was really fun to bring in. And like I said before, having Dan Dubyk, her dad, play accordion on it, and having Lars play pedal steel on it just really added a ton of beautiful atmosphere. And it's great to have the familial ties on there, and then yeah, Sasha's vocal performance just slays. So yeah, that I would say and then it's one of those things where you record it and you're like, okay, we should probably license it, we should probably release it, we should, like it. So and then so yeah, so you got all those ducks in a row, and then it's just a blessing to get to share it.
Well, and you talk about being able to bring, an old song, kind of give it new life.
Totally.
The uh, song from Ethiopia over as well. I mean, what's it like to kind of share bluegrass with a variety of audiences? Because, like you said, music can transcend all sorts of things, transcend genres, the storytelling, all of those aspects. I mean, what's it like to share bluegrass, you know, beyond just Brooklyn and your home bases now and around the world? Because I believe you got to do Saudi Arabia, you toured the UK as well recently. I mean, you guys have
Hmm.
been going a lot of different places.
Thanks. Yeah, it's It's always so fun, and like it tickles me that bluegrass is what is bringing us everywhere, because it is so, and like kind of like I was talking about with the traditional music being so transcendent. I think that's really what it is, and it's like and then our originals, bringing in the originals that we do, and kind of our flavor of those things, and the busking spirit still in there. That definitely creates this kind of like really beautiful where everyone's comfortable in a live show. And so getting to be able to bring that to wherever we are with different audiences, different responses, different cultural things, even within the States. I mean, the States are huge. So I mean, like you get so many different cultures all over. So it's like you could tour just like the 3 states surrounding wherever you are, and you would still be like, whoa, this is awesome. Like, and yet so connective. So I think that's really the big thing is like, um, especially at this point in our career, one of the biggest things we love to see is just this community feeling coming together and like starting the show in one vibe and then really ending the show in an elevated vibe um, every time. So it definitely keeps us on our toes and engaged ourselves, and I think that that's proven to be kind of one of the elements that continues to engage others.
Well, and two, you guys don't really necessarily have like a lead singer. All of you can sing. You can take the lead on a different track. I mean, what's it like to kind of have that versatility too, where you guys, it may not every song may not sound the same, and then again, that's just that community. That's that music that you are making. That anyone can kind of lead and do their thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, we really have been we focus a lot on blend. I would say that the blending of our voices definitely because even from day one we've always had very different voices. But then like one of the things that we've really learned to do is be able to use different timbres in our voices and like different expressions of dynamics and things like that. Where especially early on, like Sasha was the only trained singer in the band, and now and at that time Max was mostly singing everything, and so like this is a bit, and I love Max's voice, I always have, and we've all gotten more confident in our voices, and that has proven to be very good because it does take the pressure off as far as like okay, cool, like let's get this one in there and this one in there. And it's like less of a like make sure everyone's heard. It's more of like a how does it feel in the set or how does it feel on the record? And like and thankfully like kind of more of in service to the art kind of energy than it is like egoic. Like I didn't get my cut like on the record. Like what's going on? Like I'm taking it elsewhere. Whatever. It's like there's time for everything. So definitely the lead singer thing and trading off. And I will admit that like we definitely are. We love hearing Sasha sing lead, so we're always very interested in giving her as much as we can. But I'd say that it's very fun to be able to mix it up too. Keeps us interested.
Well, and that makes the live shows a little bit more fun because you never know who might be taking the mic. And
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong. Do you guys just use the one microphone for singing and things like that? Kind of go on that old school route. Why do that? And what can folks expect at a live show then?
Nice. Yeah, great question. We have forget exactly when we started really doing that. I feel like maybe honestly just as we moved to New York, we really kind of committed to the one mic thing and got it figured
Brings you
out. We
closer
use
together.
it definitely brings us closer together, absolutely. And using it nowadays, like it feels like another member of the band because it really is like um, especially when it's dialed in, you get this really wonderful kind of like natural response from the mic where you can kind of step in and out of the field of what it's listening to, and and then so we've learned a lot of this kind of choreography to be that we was really incredibly perfected by Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys and Flat and Scruggs and all those dudes really bringing in that like around one microphone condenser microphone thing And then we do plug in the bass. So we have that low end supported, and then we're able to let it be more balanced. But then just with those two, it's really, um, we've been able to hone the craft of kind of mixing ourselves on stage. So, and then especially as we produce records and stuff, we have kind of the mix in our head as we're doing it. So it's like, it becomes very natural. We don't think about it, but that is definitely informing subconsciously what we're doing. And, yeah, and it's always great. It's especially good when we can hear ourselves. And yeah, but what people can expect from a live show is definitely because we're close together and surrounding the mic, and like I said before, very connective with the audience. We're not like, insular. We're very like, how's it going? And that kind of energy, it makes it feel, I think, because we're so close together, no matter the size of the stage, it feels like I know for a fact that true like melding of the three of us starts to amplify into the room in a way that, like, if we were separated, it would be completely different. So yeah, it's a really fun, very, very lively and alive feeling show.
I love that. I love that because it's so unique too, and I love too the fact that you talked about, you do a lot of your songs live before you put them on a track because, as folks know, songs can change over time as you play
For
them and
sure.
perform them live,
Yep.
and you can kind of, like you said, you probably narrow those down into focus a little bit more. And I love to always ask this question. I got to ask you your favorite drink at the beginning,
Yep.
and I love to, as we get toward the end, ask this because it's always unique to see what everyone's perspective is on this. And it's, what's your favorite song of yours to perform live right now?
Mm. Oh, that is a good question. Oh boy.
No pressure.
Yeah, right. I would say oh, it's such a hard one because we really loved pulling everything from the record into the set now, and um, they're all so different. I would say that, like, "The Universe is Hungry," the title track, is definitely really great live because we teach it as a sing along first. So like everybody singing the chorus is like, that's one of the best moments ever, and it's just so fun, and it's very diffusing. Very like. Uh, Everyone who might be like kind of like stressed to sing can just shake it out and just sing or yell or whatever. And that definitely is one of my favorite moments in our set. And then we've been opening with the first track on the record a lot, which has this beautiful like kind of acapella vibe, and I love that because I just love singing with these dudes. So I'd say those two are kind of tied for me, even though I could go on and on about all of them.
I love it though. And it's cool too because, like you said, sometimes it's just the vibe it sets off on stage or in the show. It's just, for whatever reason, maybe you could do a different, um, you know, progression on it or whatever, and it's just
Yeah.
fun to kind of see. And like I said, you guys have been able to travel a lot lately. You've done the tours to Ethiopia, to Saudi Arabia on a cultural exchange. You did the UK tour. You had some pretty cool experiences in 2025, but in 2026, you still got any bucket list places left to play? Still places you're hoping to go?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, bucket list places are always around. We every time that's asked, every one of us is like, eventually we'd like to play Red Rocks. That would be great. And that's of course on there. But we really there's a couple places we were able to do our record release show in the Boston area at this place called Groton Hill Music Center, and that's like one of the most beautiful places we've ever played. So that I think we'd like to keep coming back to that kind of stuff, and like we love the theaters that we play and all the festivals. We got a really great lineup this year of festivals, and we're going back out to the UK in May. I think it's in May, and we're going to be doing some like England stuff, and then a bunch of Scotland stuff, and then we're ending up in the Orkney Islands. So that'll be really cool. That's a bucket list for me too. I've always wanted to go up there. And then we're going to be in Germany for a festival after that, so that'll be really nice. And yeah, just a lot of, we're checking them off as they come, I think is really the. But yeah, a lot of good stuff coming up in 26, and we'll be sharing obviously performances of this record, and then also some stuff that I know is in development for all of us to bring into the this year's set, which is always a very exciting, unknown until it's not kind of thing. It's really fun.
I love that because you guys put out the album in 2025 toward the tail end there in October. So obviously you've got still some bucket list places. It sounds like some cool places you're traveling. I know you're coming to Kentucky for Romp as well.
Yes,
That's out
we
there.
love Romp. Yeah.
Yeah, and so what else can folks expect from you in 2026 that won't get you in trouble by anyone? I don't want Max yelling at you or anyone like that. So what else can folks expect from you in 2026? Because you got the whole year now. We got the
That's
whole year to
right.
look forward
It's so true. Yeah, it's exciting. Oh man. I don't know if it's announced yet, so I can't say exactly who, but we are opening for somebody that we've admired for a long time, in the industry and in the bluegrass world and stuff. And I know we got at least a couple opening dates and maybe another thing kind of in the works for that. So that's exciting because we have really always, that's been a desire of ours, I think, is to kind of like join other bands a little bit. Like we've been doing the like hardcore independent, like, headlining vibe for a long time. So it'd be nice to kind of offset that with a little bit more. And a lot of the times it's like we have friends in these bands or whatever. So it's like, it's nice. It's a culmination point, I think, this year, of a lot of those dreams, which is really exciting. Um, and yeah, and different, like, I think video series type stuff that again will be announced later, but those are definitely some things in the works this year that are like really, encouraging for us as an independent band. um, and it's become very easy and like in the flow of it, we don't have to like really like go chase it down as much, which is nice. So yeah.
Sounds like a good bit of fun things coming up in 2026, and I love to hear that. And I think you behaved yourself. I don't think you're getting yelled at by anyone. So,
Yeah.
so I think we're all good.
Good.
And folks, if you haven't, go listen to "The Universe Is Hungry." You won't regret it. From Damn Tall Buildings. And Avery, thank you for sharing your story with me, sharing a drink with me, and man, I can't wait to see what y'all got next.
Likewise, Jonathan. Thank you so much.